yeah, that's on me. I'm sorry. Have a good show. Best ever.
Best ever.
Good morning, Phoenix, Arizona. Welcome to another edition of the JV Sports Show. James Poovey alongside my broadcast partner, Vince D'Alicio. A beautiful Saturday morning here in the Valley of the Sun. Vince, we got a full show on tap for him today, my friend.
We do. Big weekend. Tomorrow is
Father's Day. That's
yes,
right.
Father's Day. So sitting here with my good friend, my good friend James Poovey, but also my good friend Kermit the Frog. And you ever see those memes where he is just like some type of phrase, and then at the bottom he says, "That's none of my business." Well, that's going to be my catchphrase today. That's none of my business. So
I like it.
My good friend Kermit. So anyway.
Well, we could fire off some questions today to our guests that would qualify for that. I talked about off air, right, Vince?
I think so. Yes, that would qualify that response. That's none of my business.
Oh man,
so,
exactly.
Anyway, yeah. How was your
great
week,
show?
James? How are you feeling?
Pretty good, man. Feeling good. I got a little wasn't feeling too well last night, so but feeling a little better this morning and ready to go for today's show. We got a couple of great guests coming on with us. We're going to be talking with Chris Eaton from Gridiron, Arizona. He's going to help us break down the Thursday night football schedule. He was going to come on with us for the schedule release show, but unfortunately he wasn't available that night, had some family in town and so forth. So he's going to come on and check in with us, and we'll get his thoughts on our Thursday night football endeavor. And then in the second half of the hour, we're going to be joined by Miley Carr, former Bella Vista prep coach, and now heading up the PHH prep program there. At the facility in Phoenix, Vince. I'm really curious to learn about this program, and they are getting some top-notch athletes. I'm really curious to learn all about this stuff.
Well, where is this place?
I think it's over in Avondale somewhere, but I don't even know that for sure. I have to look
facility.
It up. Yeah, brand new. It's called the Facility, PHH. Yes. And it houses Powerhouse Hoops, and they're also going to get they're having a girls and a boys team as well. So we're going to find out all about that. And then in the bottom segment, we're going to be featuring Coach Brandon Harris from the Maricopa Rams as they are hosting our inaugural Thursday night football game this season against the Tucson Badgers.
We got to get some secrets from him here on air about what he's planning on doing in that first game. He's got to come out with a bang to kick off the return of Thursday night football. They are the featured game in the opening week, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And fingers crossed, we have a season. We're looking forward to it. We're going. We got our crew ready to go. We're going to be somewhere on August 20th. I don't know. We'll be at Chuck E. Cheese if there's no season. I don't know, but we're looking forward to something.
Boy, I'm sure hoping that we're going to have a season. I think we're all come to grips now with the fact that it'll probably be, or at least for the first portion of the season, if not the whole season, a season without fans in attendance. So games, a lot of games are going to be streamed, and the stuff that we're doing as far as broadcasting high school sports and college sports is going to be more important than ever, Vince, right now, because that's how people are going to get their sports, especially when we get things going here. You can see that some of the Major League Soccer teams over in Europe have started resuming action. I was calling some national soccer down in Nicaragua as late as May. So they were wrapping up seasons down there. So there's a lot of virtual stuff going on, and it's going to be a big part of sports when it returns, which it's already doing now.
I can't wait. And I've been hearing in the next few weeks, what's today, the 20th of June. So I've been hearing the next 2 weeks, right around the 4th of July, the NC2A and the NFL are going to be confirming their seasons. Now, if that happens, which we're expecting, then everything else will fall into place, and we're going to have us a fall season. So the kids got to play. Kids got to get out there. They got to play. It's obviously got to be done safely, but at the same time, kids got to play. So.
Yeah, they got to play. They're itching to play. The coaches are ready to get out there and get after it. We're ready to get out there and get after it, and we're just praying that everyone heeds the precautions, takes the precautions under advisement. Wear a mask if you're going out in public. They've mandated it now, Vince, I understand, in a lot of the cities around the valley here. So you're really not going to have a choice now. You got to wear a mask when you go out in public, and let's hope that we can keep everybody. The good news is that a couple of these football teams have been active now for a couple of weeks. And I haven't heard any stories of, we have a shutdown because we have a couple of cases now since we resumed some, social distance practicing or whatever you want to call it. So that's the good news, if you ask me.
Well, yeah, and the coaches have been very upbeat about it. They're practicing social distancing. They're they're out there making sure the kids are being very careful. They're spread apart. Kids need to condition and they need to learn and they need to get out there and be active. And it's being done safely. These coaches, it's not your old school coaches that just don't care and don't and just say get out there and run and do this and do that. I mean, these guys are educated and they're on what exactly they need to do, how they need to do it, and proceeding safely. And the biggest thing with a lot of these coaches is that they're dads themselves, and so these kids, these players, these athletes are their kids, and so they're doing it the right way and moving it right along. So August 20th can't get here soon enough, and I can't wait. I can't wait to see exactly how this plays out and what our role is in all of this. And I'm looking forward to getting out there and calling some games, James.
Yeah, I miss it, Vince. I know you do too. And if you think about it, we are kicking off the Arizona high school football season this year. We are the first game, Vince, Thursday, August 20th, because the regular season starts technically on the 21st. Obviously, that game that we're having on the 20th with Tucson and Maricopa will count. It's been rescheduled with the AIA, but we are getting things going, and we are just fingers crossed, toes crossed. You can't see them right now, but the toes are crossed as well. And we're just hoping that we're able to kick things off in August.
Well, not only that, it's a 0-week game. So even that next night, Friday, there are very few games that are going to be played around the state of Arizona. So you guys that are big football fans, which is most of us out there, it's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of excitement, and we're going to be, Richard Obert did a nice little piece on Thursday Night Football last week. We talked and he put our schedule up. He finalized it. We have all 15 games filled. We have a couple of Friday nights that we're going to be featuring where we had breaks in our own regular gigs to be able to do that. And then we've got a couple Saturday night games. Can you believe that, James? Saturday night high school football.
Starting with 8-man, Vince. Have you ever even seen an 8-man game before?
I've seen one 8-man game in my life, and it was at Phoenix College, and it featured Valley Lutheran. Not Phoenix College, Phoenix Christian, and it featured Valley Lutheran. They were playing their home game at Phoenix Christian. I can't remember who they played that evening, but it was an 8-man game, and it was it might have been Baghdad that played. I don't remember exactly, but this was back in 2014 when I was coaching at Phoenix College. There were a couple of kids that we were looking at, and it was fun. It was very fast-paced. It reminded me of arena ball.
Yeah, they get after it. They throw it a lot. Obviously, they run it a little bit, but it seems to be more pass-heavy offenses, and it's really a lot of fun. That's the majority of my experience as well, is seeing Valley Lutheran when they were an 8-man team. Now they're 11-man football, and as a matter of fact, they're on our Thursday night schedule this year. So
they are on
at Phoenix Christian, as a matter of fact. So nice little segue there, Vince.
Yes, and what I think is going to be really cool, James, is that we're going to be featuring games at places that may not have the infrastructure to support our crew, but we're going to make it work anyway. If it means having to drive my truck and set up in the bed of the truck and do our broadcast, I don't know. We're going to find out. We've got to work the logistics out with some of these schools, but it's going to be fun, and it's going to be fun for the fans too. The other thing, James, that was a great idea by you is fan voting on Player of the Week. How's that going to work?
Well, what's going to happen is during the game, we're gonna give the Twitter handle that you'll be able to go on and vote. What we'll do is just put a live poll up on our JV Sports Show Twitter, and you can go right on there and you can vote, and maybe we'll shut it down. What do you say, like 5 minutes to go in the game, or 2-minute warning or something like that?
Yeah,
because we'll get the results tallied instantly, and then we'll be able to read off. And our hopes is maybe given the social distancing thing, we'll have to see how that plays out. But maybe we can have that MVP come up and join us for a quick post game interview. So it's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to have the fans vote, and they're going to decide who went the hardest, who went the best in this game, and go ahead and vote for them. So it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
And our crew, it's not going to just be you and I holding a little, an 8mm camera on our shoulder. I mean, a handy cam. We've got an actual crew, James.
Yes, we do, Vince. A motley crew with that, but hey, it's going to be great. Greg Jones, our producer for the last couple of years on the Mike Nesbitt Show for Ottawa University, Arizona, and he's done some Holcomb Junior College Athletic Conference work for us. And Brittany Boyer is going to join us on the sideline. Yeah, and we got Justice Miranda running camera. My wife Tara Puva is also going to be running a camera, and we've got a guy from Pinnacle High School is going to be joining us. We're very excited about Ryan.
Ryan Sikora, he is pumped to, and I told him, I said, look, Ryan, I know you got school. I know you're going to be a senior in high school. He's like, no, I want to be in sports broadcasting, and I'm a good student, so don't worry about that. I'm going to make every game. I said, Ryan, if you commit to this, you got to go all in, and you got to tell me if there's any type of conflict. He's like, no, I'll make it work. 15 games, I'm there.
Ryan, you've got to get that. You got to finish strong in senior year. You got to get that A in basket weaving and the pottery class and maybe home ec or whatever. I think I took home ec or something as a junior, senior, just a blow off class. But anyway, yeah, you got to finish strong there, Ryan. But we're excited to have him on the crew, and we're gonna have a great time this fall.
Yeah,
good Lord willing.
Well, and I think it will work. It's gonna work. But James, coming up next, what do we got?
We got Chris Eaton joining us from Gridiron, Arizona. He's going to break down the Thursday night football schedule. I can't wait to get his thoughts on some of those matchups and the return. He's going to tell us a little bit about the history of Thursday night football as well. He is quite the high school football historian here in the state of Arizona.
Can't wait. Chris, thank you so much for joining us. We will be right back on the JV Sports Show. Folks, don't go away. A lot of good stuff today. Thanks for listening to James and I, and we are here to entertain. Go JV.
Thank you, Aaron.
Hey, James.
Yes, sir.
Did you ever? So I've got a little snoring problem. I don't know if
remember if we're live.
Told you
Go
this.
ahead.
Yeah. No, I know we're live. And so my wife made me buy this thing online that I wear, and it ends up around my feet. Do you want to see this? Can I show you?
Is
this?
it a CPAP machine?
It's not a CPAP, although that's the next step because this thing isn't foolproof. All right, I got to show you this. Hold on, just a second.
Oh boy.
Hold on.
Jake the Snake. Hey, there you go, buddy. Looks like a Speedo you're trying to put on backwards there or something.
It's designed to keep my mouth shut. I need to wear it more often.
Oh, I see. So it kind of clamps your chin up a little bit when
but it doesn't always work. And it ends up, I wake up in the morning, it ends up like this. I mean, it's just, it's too much. These things that, these 2 a.m. infomercials.
Oh man, this is the perfect time for me to let Chris in. Here we go.
All right.
There he is.
All right.
He's getting connected to audio. How are you, Chris?
Doing good, James. How are you?
Good.
Hi,
thanks
Chris.
for joining us. We appreciate you.
Thanks for joining us.
Hey, thanks.
Let's see here. Let me pull up the schedule.
All right.
There we go. I had to find the schedule that says final schedule.
Yeah, Chris can weigh in on some of the games.
Yes, and can you talk a little bit about maybe the history of? I know you in your article you said a little bit about the history of Thursday night football. If you could talk about that a little bit too, that'd be great. How it was on Cox 9 or Cox 7 before, I believe.
Yeah, Cox kind of changed channels somewhere in the middle of there. Yeah.
Perfect. I'm glad we were finally able to connect with you, man. Appreciate you coming on with us.
Thank you so much.
Thanks.
What did you think I was going to show you? I love the reminder that we're live on YouTube.
I had no idea. I just always got to put the disclaimer out. Don't forget we're live.
Yeah,
we're still on YouTube, even though we're not on the radio right this moment.
That's funny.
Here we go.
Oh man.
Welcome back to the JV Sports Show. A beautiful Saturday morning here in the Valley of the Sun. A little Pink Floyd coming back at you. James Poovey alongside my co-host Vince Delicio. Vince, a very special guest joining us now from Gridiron, Arizona. Chris Eaton is on with us. Chris, how are you doing today?
Hey, doing good. Good morning, James and Vince. Thanks for having me on.
Hey, we appreciate you joining us, Chris.
Chris, thanks so much for joining us. You know, we follow your stuff, and we need you to speak through your phone though, Chris, so that we can hear you on the radio. And we appreciate. I know the simulcast thing is, it's challenging. It gets a little confusing, but anyway, Chris, thanks for joining us. Thanks for the positive press on Thursday Night Football, and you are. Chris, you are truly a historian when it comes to high school football, and your knowledge, it far exceeds a lot of other guys that I've talked to that have been around the game for a long time. So tell us a little bit about what you've seen with regard to just football in general coming back this fall.
Regards to if we're going to play this fall, or
yeah. What's your feeling? What are you hearing?
I mean, this was a rough week. I mean, that's, putting it gently. From yesterday's announcement of how many COVID cases we had, which was a record high, to everything else that's gone on in the sports world with positive tests out at the Phillies complex, with the Clemson football team, and even yesterday, the first Arizona high school football player that we know of that had come down with it. It's makes it a little difficult right now to project that we're going to have a full season. I think I felt a little better about it a month or so ago, but we're being optimistic today.
Well, Chris, thanks so much for joining us here this morning. We appreciate you coming on. And can you tell us a little bit about the history of Thursday Night Football as we prepare to bring that back here in the state of Arizona? Hopefully we can do that this fall.
Yeah, very exciting what you guys are doing in terms of bringing out the package every Thursday night during the season, plus a couple bonus Fridays, couple bonus Saturdays, and including teams from every conference too. I like that you're doing that. Kind of the history of Thursday night games. It launched with a trial game back in 1999 with Westwood against Red Mountain. And it was shown by Cox 9, which was kind of a local television cable channel. Prior to that, they had showed games on tape delay. Which you play games on Friday night and they'd show them on Saturdays. So I guess the family and friends of the people were watching on Saturdays. I can't imagine too many others were when you get buried by college football. But then that continued all the way through the 2016 season. The channel eventually moved to Cox 7. And then Cox 7 became YourView. And the last two seasons, they've only showed Friday night games, not the Thursday. And I've always thought it was better from a fan perspective to be able to show games on a Thursday, because a lot of your audience that's going to watch games on a Thursday night are ones that are going to be out at games on a Friday night themselves.
I've got two games that are on the schedule this year that really excite me more so than any other. You can, and I'd love to get your input on not only on those games, but any that you happen to see on the schedule that struck your interest. But August 29th, Saturday night in Tucson, South Mountain heads down to Sunnyside. I am so excited about that game because, number one, the head coach of South Mountain High School, new head coach Byron Evans, played his college ball in Tucson, played with guys, U of A, that played at Sunnyside. And so it's going to be kind of a little extra motivation for him. And first year head coach, and he's a great guy. And Glenn Posey down at Sunnyside, who, they've won a couple state titles and have put together some really good teams. And that's a Saturday night game. The other game I like is a rematch of the state championship, 3A state championship that ends our broadcast season on Thursday night, October 29th, Ben Franklin at American Leadership Queen Creek.
Yeah, I certainly agree that those are a couple of the games that I kind of have starred on here also. For that South Mountain, as you mentioned, a homecoming for Byron Evans. I did see the Jaguars play last season when the Carters were there. They won the Metro region. They're moving into a more difficult region this year. They do return Travis Gamage, a wide receiver, for the Jaguars. And then on Sunnyside's side, Coach Posey returned to Sunnyside last season. He had led them to some playoff appearances about 5 or 6 years ago. They have a good wide receiver too, and Anthony Galvez. And they had a lot of young players play on the Blue Devils last season, so they should be a little bit more experienced this year as well. And then that season ender, as you mentioned, a rematch of last year's 3A state championship. Ben Franklin and ALA Queen Creek. Those teams, of course, ALA Queen Creek won both meetings last year. The championship game was 24-6. And I know that I think James was out there calling the game. Isaiah Jameson just had an incredible night, 326 yards and a couple of touchdowns for the Patriots in that win.
Wow.
Yeah, I've been blessed to call a couple of those ALA Queen Creek Patriots games, and those guys can run some offense. Coach Rich Edwards out there knows how to get it done. His ground game is his specialty. I think you would agree with that. Is there another game, Chris, that might have jumped off the page at you when you first saw the schedule
and show
that
the
you were
schedule,
really
James.
excited about? Yeah, let me go ahead and see if I can do that here,
Yeah,
Vince.
for
Let's
our
see.
viewers at home on YouTube, we can put it up, and then Chris can kind of talk around that as well. And then once you do that, Chris, tell us a little bit about how you feel about that 1A game, Mayor at Tempe Prep.
Yeah, three other ones that I kind of have marked on here: the Valley Christian Northwest Christian game, which is a Friday night. It's a rematch of last year. Northwest Christian won a competitive game 17-10. One of the guys to watch over on Valley Christian side is Chandler Carter. He's a tight end, 6'5", 225.
Wow.
On the other side for Northwest Christian, they have a linebacker, Luke Johnson, that had 100 tackles last year. Big school game right in the middle of your schedule. There's Cesar Chavez and Desert Ridge. They met in the playoffs last year. You may want to have some extra time on the broadcast for that one, because in round one of the playoffs, the Jaguars won that game 58-41. Cesar Chavez had a lot of young players last year. Linwood Crawford, one of the running backs on their side. Desert Ridge kind of started airing it out more last year with quarterback Austin Cobb. And James, I know you saw both those teams last year because they both played Red Mountain.
Yeah, both those teams are really good. Cesar Chavez extremely fast, and everyone that has ever dealt with a Coach Hathcock coach team knows that they are nothing but hard-nosed football. They like to run downhill, and they put it between the tackles, and they'll tell you straight up, here's where we're going with the football until you stop it.
James, you didn't know this, but a little bit of trivia, a little fun fact. I went to middle school with Jeremy Hathcock.
No way.
Middle school in Phoenix. Yeah. Before they moved up into the White Mountains, before high school. Otherwise, he would have been a Camelback Spartan. He and his older brother Jason. So anyway, Jeremy's a great guy. He's very approachable, and he's just good people. He's good people. So anyway, it'll be a lot of fun. I'm really excited about this season, about the games that we have, and such a variation in teams. It's not just the same old. We're getting out there, we're getting around, and we got a ton of 4A games too. I noticed that's kind of how it played out in the schedule as well. And North hosting Carl Hayden. That'll be an interesting one too.
Yeah, we have a couple of Phoenix Union teams on the slate for this season, and we're really excited about it. Some great matchups. Like you said, we're going to be going literally almost all over the state of Arizona. We tried to secure a couple of games up north, but those didn't quite pan out. But maybe we can get a little more north, next season.
Yeah.
And but we're just extremely excited about the slate that we got coming up this fall.
Chris, are you going to make it out to a few of the games?
I don't normally make it out to the Thursday night games because I'm usually prepping for my Friday night game.
Got it.
With all the stuff that I have going on throughout the week with Arizona Varsity and the recruiting page and everything else. I'll try to get out there for one this year. We'll see. I do have to touch on that 1A game there, though, that you mentioned. I like that you're doing the 2 Saturday night games in August. So they're before the college football gets going. So they'll be pretty much the only football on at that time. Mayor Tempe Prep is your 1A game, of course. And for Mayor, Joseph Bowensacks had 8 touchdowns. He's a wide receiver. And Tempe Prep moves down from 2A. Last season, they played with just 22 players. So maybe an 8-man game would be more to their suiting, just from a personnel standpoint.
Coaches. Now tell us about coaches. Do you have any, and I know, you're a writer and you got to get out there and you can't be biased, but do you have any favorites of these guys that you deal with that are easy to, or on the other side, guys that are maybe a little bit harder? You call them, they don't take your call, or they hang up on you, or
a little hard to get a hold of, maybe, right, Vince?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, I always have coaches throughout the year. I try to do a weekly off-season column, and I throw an email out to a coach, and if they respond, then I'm able to talk to them. The last 2 weeks, I've had phone conversations on Saturdays with Basha, Coach Chris McDonald, and then the week before that with Rick Garrettson from Chandler. So I've kind of did little write-ups on both those teams. I always enjoy Jeremy Hathcock. When I talk to him before a game when I'm there, he'll always be straight up with you. He'll tell you if he's got some players beat up that night and doesn't feel so good about it. But he always seems to adjust, Coach Hathcock, and obviously he's been doing it a long time. Coach Rich Taylor over at Centennial has always given me time and was one of the first people when I started doing the website that I had for myself before I went to Arizona Varsity back in 2009 that just kind of told me that the coaches and the players and the fans would love the coverage.
That's right. Chris is a recent joinee of ArizonaVarsity.com, headed up over there by Ralph Amson and a great crew, including Cody Cameron and Zach Alvira, among others. You guys have kind of expanded your reach over there at Arizona Varsity. You're covering a lot of different stuff now. Is that correct?
Oh yeah, we got Jason Skoda out there who hosts the Friday night wrap-up show, doing some hiking stuff. We're planning on doing some cooking stuff with some of the coaches, and just a wide variety of stuff. Of course, Chili does his two-piece every Tuesday night that gets a lot of views on Periscope as well.
I'm just impressed, Chris, and I'm honored that you came on to join us, share a lot of your knowledge, and I hope that we can get you back throughout the season just to chime in, and maybe on our recap show, James. What do you think on Saturday mornings we can have Chris call in and join us, and maybe in some of our remotes as well. Come on out and you know, talk to us a little bit about what he felt, you know, how the games went from the night before, and you know, and weigh in there.
Yeah, I would love to have Chris back on with us during the season to recap some Friday night action. And I expect we'll probably see him out there on September 17th, Vince, out at Desert Ridge for that Champions versus Jaguars game. Chris, what do you think?
Yeah, I like I've always covered the top two conferences, and the 6A and the 5A. And I mentioned that you have all the conferences covered. And yeah, that one certainly sounds like a good one to go see Chavez and D Ridge.
You know what also is going to be fun, James, is the Miller Bowl. I'm looking forward to the to getting out to Combs.
Yes.
To see Combs and Arcadia with the coaches Miller. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, that'll be a great one. Hey, where can everyone find you, Chris, on social media? You were obviously, I consider you an encyclopedia of Arizona high school football. It's been great to get to know you over these past 4 or 5 years now. I've been doing high school football broadcasting, and it's always a pleasure to see you out at the games. Where can people find you on social media?
It's at Gridiron Arizona, and then the website is ArizonaVarsity.com.
Thanks again, Chris Eaton from ArizonaVarsity.com and Gridiron Arizona. Next, Vince will be joined by Miley Carr, head coach of the Powerhouse Hoops program over there at the facility. Stay tuned here on the JV Sports Show. We got 2 more great segments coming up, and hope everyone's having a great Saturday.
Thanks, Chris. We appreciate you. We'll be right back.
Thanks, guys.
I keep forgetting to unmute, and you know, and we've got there, and so I apologize, Aaron. I'm trying to eliminate as much background noise as possible, and anyway.
All right, so Coach Carr is ready. You ready to bring him in?
Yeah.
Here we go. Thank you so much, Aaron. Here we go. There he is. Coach Carr, how are you?
Hey, Coach.
Good. How are you doing, man?
Good. Thanks for coming on with us. We appreciate it.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. I can't wait to hear all about PHH.
Yeah,
what's
man,
going on over there? You guys are building the building the dynasty, I should say, over there. You got some killer players recently.
Yeah, it's brand new in Arizona, and this is good. This will be good for it because I think there's a lot of misinformation out there. It'll be good.
Great.
Because it is just a basketball program, no school.
Okay.
So it's kind of built like a European model where you go to school at your high school and you play for a club, kind of like that.
Okay. So
that's
you essentially,
similarity.
We'll talk about all this on the air in a minute,
Yeah.
but you essentially opt out of your playing for your high school program. Is that
Yep.
right?
Yeah, and that's the controversial part. So
okay.
Coaches and all that.
We'll have you tell
stuff.
us all about it. Is that cool?
Yep. Sounds
Sweet.
good. Is my volume low enough on the phone?
Aaron, how does he sound on the phone?
Yeah.
Good. I got my headphones in, so hopefully you can hear me.
Sounds great on as far as I can hear.
Okay. This is my first Zoom call, surprisingly.
What?
Yep. I don't have a college team. I don't have a college team to do it with, so this is good.
This is great.
Yep.
Well, I've just been hearing about all Jenna Asai and all these players.
Yeah.
I've been like, I got to find out what's going on over there.
Yeah, we have 10 players with D1 offers, so it's loaded.
Wow.
Yeah, it's loaded.
I
just like to. I just move on to other stuff and I like to build things. So Obviously, Ottawa was one deal.
Welcome back to the JV Sports Show. James and Vincent James here, little Pink Floyd, The Wall. And it's been
Did you know, Vince,
quite a day. Yes, go ahead.
that album was in the top 200 Billboard album charts from the week after it was released for about 27 years, I think. It's still one of the longest running albums to stay in the Billboard top 200 for over 25 years.
When I was in second grade, that album came out, and I went to St. Mark's Elementary School, and we had a nun over there that used to smack the kids around a little bit. And we used in that part where it says, hey, teachers, leave those kids alone. Say, hey, Sister Jessie, leave them kids alone. And, anyway, good old St. Mark's. All right, so welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are joined by the best dressed coach in basketball, although he's not dressed like it today.
We can say an old friend, right, Vince?
Yeah, an old friend too, Coach Miley Carr. Coach Carr, how are you, sir?
I'm doing really well. Thanks for having me,
Awesome. So, Coach Carr, we met you a couple of years back. You were the head women's coach out at Ottawa University, Arizona. Did a bang-up job over there, and parlayed that to a couple other things that you kind of spun off and got into some pretty interesting ventures in basketball and working with young people. And tell us where you're at now.
Well, when we were at Ottawa, we were working with Bella Vista Prep as well, and so got into the prep world and then the club world, which is with Arizona Select Club. So I've been doing that the last 2 or 3 years while I was at Ottawa, trying to build the recruiting for our college team, and just parlayed that into full time at Arizona Select, and then we've built that into a really good program on the boys and girls side on youth levels and high school levels, about 20 plus teams. And then, and then we just launched Phoenix Prep, which is exclusively for boys and girls basketball elite players that want to get better. That is just a basketball program. And those players will remain at their high schools for their education and play for us at like an after school program.
So, Coach, your new team is very similar, obviously, to Bella Vista College Prep, correct? In that it's you said it's just a team, it's a basketball team, and then the kids will. What happens with the team at the high school? Do they kind of opt out of that program, or how does all that work?
Yeah, correct. So Bella Vista is a school as well. We're looking in at Phoenix Prep to maybe be doing that in the future, but right now we're just a basketball program. So those girls can transfer to. They can stay at their school or transfer to another school for their education, and which is good because they stay on track for their in-state clearinghouse. All that stays. They don't have to transfer academically. They just drive over after school's over, and we have practice and lifting and film sessions. And our whole goal with this program is to create a college atmosphere. Obviously, with my background at Ottawa and Grand Canyon University, that's all I've really known. So we're treating these players just like they're in college right now. That's what the benefit has been so far. The feedback has been good from our players that they feel like they're getting better, they're getting pushed. We have 10 players right now with Division I offers.
Wow.
And our roster is 16 people. So those other 6 are younger players, some of the new scene. They'll eventually get those offers as well. So even the girls with offers, they want to get better, and that's the whole goal.
Coach, you've developed quite an international pipeline as well. I remember James and I, when we were coaching at Ottawa, and we saw, some of these girls coming from Bella Vista. They were, it's Eastern Europe, every country in Eastern Europe, it seemed like, and we couldn't pronounce half the names. And so we had to have help every time, get it all phonetic and everything. And so how did all that come about? And are you still heavily involved with recruiting internationally?
Yes. So I help place girls from Europe. And how the Bella Vista started is that they have those visas they can come into for longer periods than 1 year. And I think you're talking probably about Natasha Radovich, who's at Ottawa right now, who had a great season. There's a lot of girls like looking for opportunities in America that want to get a good education to play for coaches like Coach Moss, grow. And those kids might eventually stay here. They love being over here. The opportunities for female athletes is much greater. And so, we work yearly with international players, and they're really fun to coach. They're very tough. They know what they're here for. And that's another avenue we're eventually going to get to at Phoenix Prep, is that we're going to bring in, and that was up the stakes more to make our girls in Arizona work harder.
Yeah.
The size of the players a little bit more over there. So I think it's going to be a positive thing all around.
Well, Coach, aside from the international talent that you've been able to draw, you've got some absolute talent here in the Valley that you've recruited over there to the school. Bridget Mullings, so many, Treyana Crisp. I mean, these are girls that I had the pleasure of watching on the hardwood in the championship games. And Jenna Asai, she absolutely dominated the paint back in March at the state championship game for Valley Vista. How are you able to get these players, and what is that conversation like when they go and tell their coach, hey, listen, I'm going to go play for another team? And it seems like most of these girls are seniors, correct?
Yeah, there's 21s. We have some 22s. Obviously, Jenna, I'm looking at our board right now, and Jenna's a 22, which is a junior. Jada Brooks, Treyana Crisp are juniors. And then we have quite a few seniors, but a lot of it's just recruiting. It's just Jenna, I knew when she was in 7th grade. I brought her up to Grand Canyon University as a recruit as a 7th grader. So I've known her dad a long time. Trey, we coach in club. A lot of our prep girls are club players as well. So we get to build that relationship over years, and we help them with their college recruiting, which is a big step. And I think that's what we do the best out of anyone in the state. Is we have so many connections on the D1, the D2, the D3, the NAI levels that we can help players achieve their dreams of getting a free education and pushing themselves every day. And the high level players, they want to be with other high level players every day. And so, Jenna Asai, you can name a ton of people. Ali Stedman, will go high. Jess Finney, who committed to University of Washington, is on our team. Treyana Crisp, like you said, is a great junior from Millennium West Valley kid. And I'm obviously hailing for Buckeyes, so I love having West Valley kids. Jenna Asai from Surprise. So we have kids from all over the Valley, and they're all coming together every day to lock horns against each other. That's the biggest part, is in practice. That's where you spend most of your time, is on the practice floor. And how do you create your habits? How are you practicing? How are you studying to watch film? We're taking that to a completely new level for their age group during the season.
Your season, Coach, winter, spring, and then do you play your games? Do you have any games that you play out of state?
Yes, a lot. We'll be traveling to Canada, California.
Wow.
We'll be playing a lot of junior college teams. We'll be playing Mesa Community College, Pima Community College. And the big thing with that is that we're going to play with a shot clock, the college line, that a team like Ottawa University would play there at Grand Canyon. They'll get that for a whole year. And then our young kids will get that for 2 years. So when you look at a shot clock situation, it completely changes the game on the guys and the girls side as far as their skill set. And I think that's a big selling point as well, is that they're playing that type of pace they need to play. But yeah, and we're in the grind session, which I don't know if you guys follow the girls, the boys side. On the prep side, it's huge on the boys side, but the grind session is made up of Canada teams from Florida, the southern part of the country. Obviously, we got Bella Vista in state here. We got Arizona Compass. They've gotten some local talent as well. They're very stacked. So, we go into a floor with Bella Vista or AZ Compass, there's going to be 20 Division I players on the bench and on the floor. So it's just going to be super high level and fun to watch.
Well, that's mainly the way that you get players better, Coach, is you put them up against players that are either equal to them or better than them. It's no different in basketball, football, any other sport. That's how you get better. And
right.
Obviously your big selling point is being able to campaign for these ladies and guys as well at the next level and use your connections. What do you say to people that might say, this is controversial? What's going on I don't agree with this. This is recruiting. This is not right. What do you have to say to those folks?
Well, I think that I played 4 years at Buckeye High School, so I know, I understand that. I just think it's and we're not twisting anyone's arm for this either. I think it's just giving another option to players and laying it out for them and giving them all the information and just let them choose. We have other players that Arizona Select that chose to stay at their high school that are other D1 players.
Yeah.
And treat them any differently.
Well, and there's other sports too, coach, that play club. I mean,
Soccer.
there's softball, there's
Yep.
soccer, there's volleyball that are big,
Yes.
that are traveling club, and then they alternate seasons to where the regular high school season is this time, and then the club season is a different season, so they could continue playing year round. So
Yeah.
I don't see what the controversy is.
Yeah, it's just new on the girls' basketball side. It's kind of a shock to the system. We announced in January that we were going to do this. And I think people knew we were for real, but I think people didn't know at the extent. And so I think it was a little bit of shock to the system. When there's change happen, there's controversy around it, and I think people will need to see it to judge for themselves. Which that's our job, and we've got to follow through, and we're doing our best with that. But yeah, I think I understand where the high school coaches come from, because their players are leaving. They put time into those players, and I totally understand. But as coaches, I think my philosophy is we stand back and promote the player and help them as much as possible, and just let them make the decision. Obviously, things in the sports world, that trickle down effect. So when you see the NBA guys being free agents, kind of coming together, super teams, now going to the college level where the transfer portal is huge. There's 600 to 700 basketball players in the transfer portal every year. That drops down to high school, drop down to youth. It's all a trickle down effect. So if you were kind of on your toes and looking where basketball is going, it's a player sport. I mean, they're going to do what they want to do. And I think our job is to create a product and a platform for them to be really good and get a lot of exposure. And if we do a really good job of that, they should stay. And if we don't, they won't. So it's our job to do that wherever you're at: high school, college, youth, pro. So.
Coach Miley Carr, thank you so much for your time. Coach Carr, old friend of ours, and doing some great things with Powerhouse Hoops for the young ladies out in the West Valley and nationally as well. We got to do some games for them, James.
Yeah, indeed. Any tournaments or anything on the horizon, possibly, Coach? We got about 20 seconds.
Yeah, our schedule will be coming out. You can follow fans or parents or coaches. You can follow just at PHH Fire on Twitter. We'll announce all that stuff. All our players are on there. Our schedule will be there. Obviously, we'll be traveling a lot, but we're going to play in Arizona, and we'll play some fall leagues against Arizona high schools before November starts, before the AI season starts. So we'll have some exhibitions against high school teams, which will be good. So we'll be around, and we'd love to have you guys out. I know you guys
Thanks,
do.
Coach. We're sorry, we've got to cut you off here, but we'll check back with you. Coach Miley Carr, we'll be back with Coach Brandon Harris, Maricopa High Schools. Don't go away.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, have a good one.
Appreciate you, buddy. Thanks for coming on with us.
All right.
Take care.
All right.
James Events. Here we are.
Yeah.
Better believe it. B. Harris. Here we go. All right. Here we go.
Everybody there?
Coach, how are you?
Good. How are you guys doing?
Good. Thanks for coming on with us. Good to see you.
Am I supposed to be on the phone too, or what?
Yes. If you'll just call into the radio station on the phone, and then you can just kind of basically mute your volume on the phone and then just talk to us through the Zoom, and the phone will just pick up your audio for the radio.
Gotcha. Okay.
Just put it on speaker and then just turn it down or whatever.
What number do you want me to call?
602.
Hang on, I'm doing it right now. 602
260 1060.
1060.
Yes, sir.
Gotcha. And then I'll mute this here.
Other way around. You'll mute the phone, won't you? Yeah, don't. Yeah, mute not the phone microphone, but just your phone sound. Just turn your phone volume down. Don't mute the phone. Just turn the volume down once you call in.
All right. Are we good now?
Aaron, you got Coach Harris?
Hello? Hello, I'm on the JV Sports Show. This is Coach Harris over at Maricopa High School.
Perfect.
Okay.
Now we got you, Coach.
Okay. Keep what volume down? Oh, computer volume. Gotcha. Gotcha. Done it.
Nothing is
Excellent.
sacred in my house,
Thank you,
James.
sir.
Just people just walk by
It's all good.
and
Good to see you, Coach.
thanks for joining us, Coach.
Thursday Night Football is back. Check out the Doug Gottlieb Show, Monday through Friday, 1 to 3 p.m. right here on KCUS AM.
You got JV High School Spotlight, Aaron, or no? No. Okay, thank you.
Welcome back to the JV Sports Show. James Poovey alongside my partner, Vince DeLisio. Another big show, Vince. We got one more good segment coming up here now. We're pleased to be joined by head coach Brandon Harris of the Maricopa Rams. Coach Harris, how are you this morning, sir?
Doing great. How are you guys doing?
I'm honored, I got to say, because, you know, we got Coach Harris on, who's been around for forever and a day, and he's going to be kicking off our season with Thursday night, the JV High School Sports Show, Thursday night game of the week, and you'll be hosting the Tucson Badgers. Coach, how are things going down there in Maricopa with kind of getting the kids worked out, and is everything on schedule for kids to report?
Yeah, you know, we started as soon as they opened it up just after Memorial Day weekend. And I think a combination of cabin fever and kids, you know, not having a whole lot to do brought out record numbers for us. We have numbers in the mid 100s.
Wow.
And, you know, so that's a good group of kids coming out. And that's not just, you know, freshman kids that are kind of new to the program, but that's just our JV varsity guys. And so it's been really encouraging from that standpoint. I think in one of our previous shows, I talked about how I felt like just before everything kind of went south there before spring break, that we were finally getting that culture that we wanted in place set. And so it was a little bit of a blow in that regard. Obviously, there's more important things going on in people and lives and health. But I'd say that, yeah, we've got all of our kids reporting. We're meeting 5 days a week. We're on the field 3 days a week. We're lifting a couple days of the week, and then meeting and doing some other things. So it's been good.
How excited were the kids, Coach, to get back together finally after, you know, a couple of months of not being able to see each other or any other kids for that matter? How excited were they when they finally got on that field, heard you blow the whistle for the first time and said, wow, we're back to a little bit of football here?
Yeah, you know, that's, again, you know, they were pretty excited. I mean, we have good kids in general, but I think it's a little different right now. I think, you know, as coaches, we're always kind of telling them the cliche, you know, the game could be taken away from you anytime. You know, this might be your last game, da, 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 da. So I think they obviously got a real life lesson that they didn't know if they were going to have football. And we still kind of don't know for sure, but we're hoping that we are. And we're doing all the things necessary and controlling things that we can control. But they were excited. And, you know, this was the first year when I talk about the culture, give you an idea. We went to spring break and nothing official had happened yet with, you know, coronavirus, but it was kind of coming out. And my athletic director called me because we have cameras everywhere and it goes to their phones. And they said, hey, we got like 70 kids on the football field and we were on break. So he says, hey, you know, do you mind going over there and seeing if there's anybody over there? He goes, man, I hope there's none of your coaches over there. I said, no, there better not be any of my coaches over there. And so I showed up to the football field, and sure enough, it was our kids out there playing, about 70 of them for sure. And they had already organized all their teams, linemen, everybody out there playing 7-on-7 against each other. And it was sort of like an open gym in a basketball game. Like, okay, I've got next game. You know what I mean? Like they played like 2 scores and the kids would go out. So I had to drive up because I live in town and called over a couple guys and said, hey, listen, first thing, here's the positive. So excited you guys are out here playing and doing stuff. That never would have happened 3 years ago when I first got here. But I said, hey, you know, your health is important. The school campus is closed. You can't be out here, you know, practice social distancing, all that kind of stuff. And so they broke it up. And so that's a nice little story about kind of
So then you said, I'll meet you at the park down the road and we'll get a workout in over there.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
So,
no,
Coach,
I didn't do that. Don't say that.
No, I know. So speaking of administration, what the guidance, what's been like with, you know, with the superintendent and the principal and the AD and all this with, you know, hey, fall sports, fall season, we want to be full go, and this is what we need to do to get there. So far, so good. I mean, what's that been like?
Real supportive. I mean, everybody, it's funny, if you follow this from top to bottom, no one knows, I mean, the thing keeps changing almost daily. And so the things that we do know, we're just trying to make sure we implement. I mean, I know I'm on the Zoom thing, but I'm not going to turn the computer, but I put in a request for the large, industrial sized fans to come into the weight room. Right. And so, because weight rooms historically are not ventilated that great, we have central air, but it gets stuffy in here when you get 50 bodies in a room. Right. So, and I said, hey, we've got to find a way to move this stuff out of here a little bit better. And so I asked that on maybe, I think, a Monday. And by Wednesday, I had the fans, the big, huge ones. So they're real supportive. We did a good job of wiping stuff down here before any of this stuff happened, because, weight rooms, you can have staph infections or MRSA outbreaks and things of that nature. So we've done a good job of doing that in the past. And so now we've just got to be more diligent. And so with the numbers that we've been allowed to come in with the phases, we've made sure every group, we have a coach assigned to every rack. And so we have 10 racks in here. And so I've got 14 coaches. So there's plenty of coaches to be assigned to a rack. We make sure the kids get in and out, 3 or 4 kids on a rack. They get out, they wipe down, clean up with the sprays and all the stuff, and then they're out and the next group comes in. So that's kind of how we've been doing it. So that support that you're talking about, obviously the district are the ones who supply us all the cleaning supplies and the sprays and the wipes. Our maintenance staff, Manny, he's awesome. He comes in and polishes this place down real good overnight. So we're doing all the things that we know to do to make sure that we can minimize any type of infections or anything like that. And I will say, Maricopa High School and our football program, from the time we were in school over the quarantine period, and since we've been back, no players testing positive, no one in their families, in the immediate families testing positive for the virus. And so we've been fortunate.
Huge blessing there, Coach.
Yeah.
Huge blessing there. How excited are you to host our kickoff Thursday night football game against the Tucson Badgers? We're fingers crossed that it's going to happen, Coach. Talk about that game and that team that you're going to face that night.
Yeah, they're a division higher than us. They're a 6A team. They play a tough schedule. They've played good competition throughout the years. I'm just now kind of starting to break into watching a little bit of them somewhat. And, good sized kids. They've got some good pieces, some athletes running around. They're going to be just as good of any matchup as we could have to host the game to open the season. In terms of the excitement level for us, you open the show, and I've been around trying to tell me I'm old now, aren't you? I'm not that old, and I ain't been around that long. But,
you're weathered. Yeah.
Season,
weathered.
Coach, season.
That's right. Season. So yeah, it's nice because, between Obert and, Bruce Cooper and stuff like that, we've been able to do things out at Maricopa that we've never been able to do, and it's never happened out here before. So, we've had the Friday night show. We've been out there in the studio. We've get some good, pieces and things said about us with Obert in the paper. So we're fortunate that I've had some relationships and maintained those relationships. And so that's exciting. But to me, this is kind of like a little bit step above, because, we're the opening game of the season.
Did you hear that?
So
Step above, Vince.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's kind of like,
Hey, we didn't even pay him to say that either, Vince.
right.
I'm
You
gonna
can
have
pay
to
me. You
dress
can pay
up
me
that
later, right?
Yeah.
Pay me later. It's kind of one of those things where it's the opening game of the 2020-2021 season, and the whole state gets to watch you, and so, there's expectations, obviously none higher than the ones we have for ourselves. But, obviously all my peers are out there. I don't know a lot of guys in the profession, guys that are good friends. And so we don't want to come out there and dribble one down our legs, to say that. So, yeah. So exciting, but a little bit of nervousness as well.
Wow. Coach Brandon Harris, Maricopa Rams, our featured game to kick off the Thursday night high school football game of the week season, Thursday, August 20th. 7 p.m. Actually, tune in at 6:30. We'll be doing our pregame
That's
show
it.
out there. Coach, you got a nice little perch for us to kind of set up everything. An air-conditioned room, climate controlled room for us. What do you got?
We're gonna hook you up just like you're at the Masters, man, with a nice
Oh,
big, you're
all right.
little bird's nest sitting up there, panoramic views, everything.
Little
You got the whole nine.
concierge service. Someone coming to take our order. And,
Shish kebabs. I will say this though, our booster club puts on probably the best snack bar in the state. I mean, it's
All
pretty
right.
phenomenal. They do a great burger over here now, let me tell you. So
Looking
make sure
forward
you
to it,
get one of
Coach.
those when you come out.
Looking
Thanks,
forward
Coach.
to it, Coach. Thanks so much for coming on with us. We appreciate it. Always good to see you. Coach Brandon Harris from the Maricopa High School Rams, our kickoff game for Thursday Night Football this fall. Another great show, Vince. It's time to head out. Everyone
See you
have a
guys.
great week. Take care. Wash those hands. Be safe. And we will check in with you again next Saturday morning.
Yeah, be smart. And thanks again for joining us here on the JV Sports Show. All of our guests, beginning with AZ Preps Varsity. Who's he with again? Chris Eaton.
ArizonaVarsity.com.
Arizona Varsity. I'm sorry.
Yes.
Chris. And Miley Carr from Powerhouse Hoops. And then, of course, Coach Brandon Harris from Maricopa. And it's going to be a great season. Looking forward to it. Come back next week. 4th of July, we're off, but we'll see you back here, same time, same place, next Saturday. Go JV.
Take care, everybody.
All right.